Well, we're here at the workbench. Time for
Yes, sir.
rigs and techniques, and that's Dave's specialty. So what do you got this week, Dave?
Well, I called up Matt Loescher and asked him what the heck's going on up there, and he said, well, the fish are moving around a lot. They're, some of them are spawning, some of them are not spawning, so they're moving in between the spawning areas and the points and whatnot. So he's searching for them, and a good search bait is a swim jig. It's a really versatile bait, and it's great for the spring fishery because you can target fish in really shallow water or even in heavy cover, and it gets right through it without having to worry about it too much. And we'll talk a little bit about the anatomy of a swim jig. And
okay.
Pretty much they all have a pointy nose on them, and that's to penetrate through that cover when you're winding them in. They all have a really heavy weed guard.
Right.
They usually have a pretty stout hook on them because
right.
You're moving them pretty fast when they get eaten.
Right.
And they always usually have a good keeper for a trailer.
Some kind of trailer.
Most guys will put a trailer on them. You don't
so
have
what
to
is
put a
this
trailer
one?
on them.
This is a bass assassin.
I think that's a gambler with a bass assassin logger toad on it.
Okay.
Yep, and that's a booyah with a bass assassin sea shad on it.
Now this one has a rattle in it.
Yeah, some of them have rattles. Because that bait is meant to be moved. Matt says, when he swims with these baits, he likes to keep them moving. He uses a Stanley Max in a white or a bluegill, and usually paired up with a claw or a paddle tail. But he likes to keep them moving. That thing needs to be moving, and you can burn it over shallow grass or stump areas, any kind of wood, and it's great because you can drop it. You can be cruising along, get next to a log, you can just drop it and let it go down to the bottom and let it, work a fish that's laying at the bottom of the log, or you can just burn it by there and hope that he comes up and nails it. And that's what usually happens is you get a really good hard strike with these things because you're cruising along. And if you want to keep it up close to the surface, you don't want it to bulge. You don't want it to come out of the water. You want it to just bulge the water as you're moving it through, so it creates kind of a wake on the surface. Mm-hmm. And then you can, like I said, you can either slow it down, change direction, do what you got to do to trigger that bite, And it's a great replacement for a spinner bait, a square bill crankbait, a chatterbait. A lot of guys will use a chatterbait because you can cover more ground with it. You got to move a chatterbait pretty slow. As soon as it starts to chatter is when I stop that and let it do its thing.
So Dave, typically the rod you'd want to use 7 foot, 7.6.
Yeah, you want pretty stout rod. You want a nice fast action. A slow action rod, nice stout rod, and a high rate of retrieve. That little Revos S right there, you get 27 inches per turn.
Yeah.
So it's cooking, and that's a good thing. Because you can go fast if you want to without cranking your arm off, or you can slow it down and still get a good speed.
And some of the Abus have up to 24 pounds of drag.
Yeah,
So like the Revo Rocket, which is a 7.0 retrieve ratio.
Right. Well, 20 pounds of drag is a lot of drag.
And what size diamond are you putting on here? 40?
40-pound test, and then, 20-pound, 30-pound fluoro, because it's moving, so you really don't have to worry about them seeing the leader and all that too much, because it's cooking and moving and covering ground.
Man, you did good.
Oh.
I want more. I ran out of time.
I know,
I'm sorry.
I want more too, Dave. I told you had good things to say today. Good job.
Good job, Dave.
Good job. All right.